Thank you for joining us today. I'm joined with our principal, Mr. David Sullivan, and our vice principal, Mr. Viarengo. And our purpose here today is to talk to our families about where Palma is today and where it will be in the coming weeks. I know your confusion. I receive your phone calls. I receive your emails. I am as confused at times as you are. But our hope today is to give you exactly what we're hearing from the county and from the state level about where Palma will be coming up in the coming weeks. So if I could, I'm going to turn to Mr. Sullivan at this point. David, can you tell us right now where we sit at Palma?
Sadly, Chris, Palma is still learning online. We're in a distance learning format, and while I know that we're doing it better than most, we want this to end. We've been besieged over the last several months, not just by the pandemic, but fires and mudslides. We've had families displaced. We've got kids who are isolated, who are depressed. We've got teachers who want to come back to in-person learning. They didn't sign up for this. The fact that we're still online learning, given the latest science to come out over the last several months, is very difficult. Is a difficult conflict for me to wrestle with. It frustrates me that the latest science seems to be indicating that our kids are safer at schools that practice mitigating factors like face masking, social distancing, than students are in their own neighborhoods.
Well, perhaps it's useful to have a little bit of background about why we are still closed. We get that question all the time. And it's quite simple. The answer is quite simple. We've never made it out of the purple tier in Monterey County. You're probably aware that there are different tiers: purple, red, orange, and yellow. And when you're in the purple tier, schools with grades 7 through 12 cannot open. We were close to the red tier a couple of times in the fall, but we never made it. And as a result, the directives only allow online or distance learning for schools with grades 7 through 12.
And that threshold between the purple tier and the red tier comes down to a metric of 7 positive cases for every 100,000 residents. And yet the CDC proclaims that threshold to be double that amount. 14 positive cases for every 100,000 people. And this is the part for us that's so frustrating, because we as a Catholic school know that we have a student clientele here that knows how to follow rules, that is willing to comply with enforcement. And when it comes down to a double face mask and some physical distancing, our kids are willing and able to comply with those directives if they're afforded the opportunity to learn on campus.
That guidance just came out last week with the 14 rate. And I know that California put out a document just yesterday emphasizing that California is being more conservative. So things are evolving rapidly, though, and I've seen the guidance change. For example, elementary schools, it was just in the news yesterday that all elementary schools in the county can open up because our adjusted case rate fell to 24. 25 was the threshold now for grades K through 6. So that's a change. That's a change within the last month. These guidelines are changing, and we're hopeful, given the push by the new administration and by the governor's office to get schools open, that they will continue to change, and we'll have that opportunity to welcome students back to campus sooner rather than later.
The question I get most when I'm contacted in my office is, what is Palma doing to get their boys back in school? And I know where that comes from. You care deeply about your sons, the most important things in your lives. And to tell you, to answer this is, on a weekly, if not daily basis, I'm talking to local health officials. I'm reaching out to our local representatives. I'm reaching out to other presidents around the country to see how they're opening. As of now, the answer is continuing the same. We are controlled by metrics of numbers in the state of California that will not allow us to leave this tier system. I've presented evidence in science that I've received from other doctors about how it is safe for us to open up, and that has not yet been acted on. So I'm as frustrated as parents are, because I know, as Mr. Sullivan alluded to earlier, I know we can bring back boys to this school and we can do it safely, because that is what the school does best.
We know that ventilation in a California constructed school like ours with breezeways and windows and doors, those can all be opened so that we can ensure more ventilation for our students.
Ventilation is important. In fact, we've used some of the funds provided by the CARES Act that we received. All schools have received funds, public and private, to buy PPE and other equipment to facilitate distance learning. We've used some of that money for NASA-grade air purifiers that are in the classrooms. And the fact that our rooms are naturally ventilated, being open to breezeways, is going to help as well. In addition, masking is key. We know that masking is almost as effective, if not as effective, as vaccines to having schools. Studies have shown in Marin County, in certain other states, that where mask standards are adhered to, transmission rate is extraordinarily low. And so we're ready to implement those. Masking, distancing, ventilation, and sanitation. All those are important factors that we feel confident we can implement now, given the chance to have our boys back.
From my vantage point, while it's maddening to be in a situation where the locus of control is well beyond us, where our duty of care for our kids couldn't be higher, I don't want to despair.
And I can assure you at home, is with the work of Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Viarengo, from day one last summer, was to have a plan in place for your boys to come back. Rest assured that that plan is ready to go. When the county says that it's time to go, we will go, and we will have your boys back here, and we'll have them safely.
We'll have the boys from those families that want their sons back on campus. We will make that happen. At the same time, we understand that some families might not be comfortable returning for the duration of this semester. We're going to keep the remote option there for those families as well. We've been very encouraged by the success that our boys have experienced. I was really gratified to see so many, nearly 350 on the honor roll. While we see so many students struggling, our boys are rising and even exceeding the challenges in front of them. And it's important, I think, we don't lose sight of that. Sure, we want them back. Sure, we know there are struggles, but there have also been remarkable successes.
Our students have already initiated practices with cross country, golf, water polo, football practice just started. We are not waiting for the county to tell us when and how we can play. We're preparing for that day, as you said, when it opens up. We've been doing workouts since September, and we plan to continue to ready our boys for that day when competition can happen once again safely.
We are going to open the school for those families that want their boys to be able to attend in-person instruction as soon as we can, while still maintaining the remote option for those that feel that they need that.
I am gratified, motivated, inspired by a faculty here at Palma who has already gone above and beyond to care for our students on flex days, before school, after school, all in a virtual format. They are ready and motivated to come back to the classroom.
Thank you for joining us today. It's extremely important for us to communicate with our families on what's happening on a day-to-day, ever-changing basis. Any questions that you may have in the coming days and weeks, as always, please reach out to us at the school. Thank you.